Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and it's that time of year again. It's time for another old season preview. The 2021-2022 season is ahead of us, so today I'm going to run through everything from the world of Manchester City to try and look ahead to this upcoming campaign. It's going to be a long one, so get yourself a brew, get yourself some sandwiches, some biscuits, whatever, some snacks, and settle down on the sofa, get your favourite comfies on, and get ready for a big old video about Manchester City. And of course, as well, this video is actually brought to you by the Sky Bet Fan Hope Survey. Basically, Sky Bet have been producing pre-season content focused around football fans. They surveyed around 1,000 UK-based football fans in partnership with leading public opinion company YouGov, and Sky Bet basically unearthed fans' hopes and dreams for the upcoming season. Basically, a load of really cool stats and fan-led data and statistics around their beliefs ahead of the new campaign. So throughout this video, every now and then, I'm going to be dropping in the odd stat to complement what we're talking about. You can check out the whole survey, by the way, in the link in the description below. So, as you can see across the bottom, there is loads to talk about. Transfers, our hopes, our worries, our rivals, our predictions. But we've got to start with the place that definitely it sets the tone for the season. And we're going to start with the transfers. Now, of course, when it comes to players in, it so far has been a relatively quiet one. One absolute superstar and one decent signing. We'll start with the superstar first, of course. Scott Carson. Scott Carson on a free transfer. A wonderful signing. A game changer for Manchester City. That experience, that leadership, that world-class goalkeeping ability that he's got. Look, let's bring it down a level. Scott Carson, a decent backup signing on a free transfer. I'm glad he's officially a Manchester City player. Let's get to the actual superstar. You know, that decent lad you may have heard a thing or two about. Super Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish, the golden boy of England football currently, is a Manchester City player in a protracted summer transfer saga that ended up with a Manchester City purchase of around £100 million, which of course is a British transfer record. And the expectation that comes with this transfer is of course absolutely astronomical, and you don't break a transfer record and not expect the eyes of the world hanging around the club. And to be honest, I reckon Jack will absolutely revel in it. He's already said in his unveiling at Manchester City that he kind of enjoys the price tag, which is a rarity. He said it means the club have got confidence in him. And I know what he means, actually. I would probably say the similar thing if it happened to me. For what it's worth, I don't think Grealish is the kind to feel pressure. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think he's going to have a fantastic season for Manchester City, and I don't think we'll regret that fee at all. I mean, so far, that's been it in terms of signings, of course. We are linked to Harry Kane, and this is the first stat of the day from the Sky Bet Fan Hope Survey. Now, according to that survey, 82% of fans are desperate for a new striker to replace the outgoing Aguero, and 21% would like a new left back as well. So 82% of Man City fans are desperate for a new striker. Based off my own Twitter analysis, it's probably even higher than that, but I think that's probably a fair stat. And you can see why. Last season, we were very good with the false nine thing, but can we get away with it 2 seasons in a row? Are we going to rue those missed big chances from midfielders and so on, playing in an unfamiliar role? Do we need a marquee signing up front? I think we do. And for what it's worth, I actually kind of think it might happen. I know obviously I'm filming this on, what date is it? The 10th of August, so things could change an awful lot. But right now, as I'm sat here, I think it's very likely and very possible that City sign Harry Kane. That, to me, would make this transfer window absolutely fantastic. You got to bear in mind, we went to the last day of the transfer window to sign Kevin De Bruyne, and very, very late to say Ruben Diaz. And those two have been pretty good signings, put it that way. So I'm going to be patient with Harry Kane. Hopefully, he will come in, because that striker is definitely needed. In terms of the players out, of course, we lost Aguero and Garcia on a free transfer. Aguero, obviously devastating. Bad luck for him, of course, with Messi leaving to PSG. And he's also picked up an injury for a couple of months, which shows, really, if we're being honest, that was probably always the correct move to move Aguero on. Unfortunately, his body, it isn't what it used to be, and we can pretend emotionally that it is, but I think we made the right call on Sergio's front, unfortunately. Still a big loss in the dressing room and a quality player if he managed to stay fit. Elsewhere, well, it's kind of not really been a major outgoing summer so far. Of course, we've moved on certain players like Angelino, Lucas Demetra, Jack Harrison, who've recouped some fees for us, and then a bunch of City Football Group kind of players as well, which obviously Harrison was one of those, of course, as well. The likes of Ivan Illich, I think, is going to Verona for a few million. We got some money back from Sancho's transfer to Manchester United, of course. But elsewhere, it's been relatively quiet on the squad refresh front, really. I mean, there are some rumours, of course, as you can see at the bottom of this list, about Bernardo leaving. I do think Bernardo is probably as likely to go as we are to sign a striker. I think it's very possible, basically. Bernardo probably will move on, which is a bit of a shame, if we're being honest. There are outside chances that Laporte and Jesus might want to go. Jesus maybe if some kind of transfer knock-on effect triggers a whole bunch of transfers. Imagine we sign Kane and Spurs giving to Milan loads of money for Lautaro Martinez or something like that. Then Inter go, well, we're skinned, but we need a striker, and they get Jesus. You never know. But as it is, I think Bernardo leaving is probably likely, leaving Laporte and Jesus at Manchester City. So far, it hasn't been an amazing window. We've signed an incredible player, but I think for it to be an amazing window, we really do need that striker. So let's see what happens by the time the window slams shut. Onto the squad depth. Now, this isn't a predicted 11. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's very close to what I think the 11 will likely be, but obviously there are some question marks there because we have to consider them. And of course, the actual 11 will rotate week in, week out. We're going to start, obviously, in goal. Ederson is our number one keeper. Stefan has proven more than capable as a backup, and he'll be there alongside Carson, of course, as well. I mean, into defence, it's going to be something like this that will start as our strongest 11 every now and then. I would say probably Cancelo will start the season given the fact that Walker's only returned to training today. Zinchenko will probably be our first choice left back once he gets back and fit as well. Diaz and Stones, of course, last season probably our first choice centre back pairing. Then of course we've got the backup of Mendy, who's going to have an interesting season. Mendy is not going nowhere. We are clearly not going to sign a left back, and Mendy will probably start the season as well against Spurs, I reckon, actually, given the fact that he's been playing in pre-season. Likewise, Cancelo will do as well. Then we've still got Laporte, who's still obviously a very, very good player. Will he go? I don't know. I don't think he will for what it's worth. I think we'll try and keep hold of him. And Ake as well. I'm going to give Ake the benefit of the doubt this season. I think Ake's a very good player, and he was a little bit rusty in the pre-season games. Actually, do you know what? He was all right in the preseason games, other than that mistake against Leicester in the last minute. Not quite the last minute, but very close. But Ake is a good defender. Let's see how he gets on this season with and hopefully an injury-free campaign behind him. He's a good player, so he's more than good enough to be a backup to these guys, and he might surprise us. But either way, I think the defensive options, other than maybe a left back, are pretty damn good, if I'm being totally honest with you. There are some, obviously, question marks in other positions, but in defensive midfield, it looks like it's going to be Rodri and Fernandinho again. Rodri's got a lot to prove this season. He had a very good spell last season, of course, at one point, but then kind of fell out of favour to the point that both him and Fernandinho were ignored for the biggest game of our season last year, which was kind of telling for Rodri. Like, he's sometimes really good, sometimes really shit, to quote Gattuso. Now, to be honest, I think he's a good player, but it is fair to say in his third season now, it's kind of now a bust, really, for Rodri to stop being just pretty good and start being excellent. Because I think last season he was pretty good at times, but he needs to be excellent, because I think it's fair to say Guardiola still has the odd doubt here and there about Rodri. With Fernandinho as well, I mean, I think he's 36, is he now, or something like that? Either way, Fernandinho, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some signs of him slowing down a little bit this season, but he's still Fernandinho. He's still fit as a fiddle, and he's still going to be very, very useful to this squad. If you look at midfield, now I put Grealish alongside Kevin De Bruyne, because I think that's something that we're going to see. Grealish will be there often alongside Kevin De Bruyne. Gundogan, I've not relegated him. Don't worry. I've not relegated anyone from this. They're not in white. It doesn't mean they're not going to be in the first team. It's just what I think we'll see Guardiola try and do quite a little bit. Gundogan, I do think will obviously force his way into the team quite a lot. Say Kevin De Bruyne doesn't get fit, who's going to be the right-sided midfielder if Bernardo goes? And Bernardo put there with a question mark alongside him, because Bernardo may actually go. He may do. He may go. But if he doesn't, who's going to be the right central midfielder? It could be Foden, it could be Grealish, could be Gundogan, most likely. De Bruyne, of course, and Grealish will be a fantastic pairing. Grealish should be bring something very different. Not pausing the way David Silva and Gundogan do it, but pausing the way that he draws people to the ball, knows when to slow down his dribbles and then speed up. A very different kind of pauser, but still very effective nonetheless. Elsewhere, of course, we've got Cole Palmer as a potential backup as well, a very good young player, and I put McAtee there as well, because they're both intelligent young players, and they will be the backup to the backups, basically, because I presume Sterling, Mahrez, Foden, all that will play midfield well before these young lads do. Not that they don't deserve it, but that's just life. I do think Bernardo will go, by the way, unfortunately. So moving forward to the wide men, I've got Foden and Mahrez there. For what it's worth, I think, and you can disagree with me if you want to, I don't really care, to be honest, but what I think Guardiola will try and do, I think he'll try and hope that Sterling shows the forms that he did for England, the form that he did for England in Euro 2020, because I think Guardiola will want left on left, right on right. And I think he'll want to play Foden on the left, and I think he'll want Sterling to be at his very best and play on the right, like the old Sane Sterling kind of thing, out and out wingers on the right, on both sides. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe it'll be Mahrez, which I'm more than fine with, given that Mahrez is a quality footballer, of course. But I think he'll try that. I think honestly he will do. Foden, I think, will play as a winger again. But occasionally, do not be surprised if we see Foden move back into the middle of the pitch. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Jesus is currently there still. Maybe he'll be the backup in the middle, but I put him on the left because he's played there a little bit. And of course, he's still there if he stays around. And I put a Dozy as well on the left because I think he's probably done himself some favours in potentially getting into the Carabao Cup squads. I would not have said that a few months ago, but fair play to the lad. He's impressed me. He has impressed me, and he's deserved to be on this list as well. So I think he's going to be there. Mahrez, Sterling. We maybe are lacking a little bit out wide, potentially. Of course, Grealish can play out wide as well. You know, if you put Grealish as a winger every now and then, which I think he will be at the start of the season, given Foden's injury, you're going to have Foden, Grealish, Mahrez, Sterling, which is pretty decent, you know, overall. In terms of the strikers, we'll have to put Kane there with a question mark, don't we? Because obviously he is the big hope up front. And I'd be remiss not to do a season preview and not consider Harry Kane as a Manchester City player. I put him there with a question mark, and I think this is how, obviously, Guardiola wants the season to start, with Harry Kane there. He won't be in the first game of the season, but who knows by the end of the window. If not him, well, it could be Jesus. It could be Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres, of course, started the game against Leicester through the middle. Looked a bit rusty, if I'm being honest, but we all know Ferran Torres' finishing quality, and I wouldn't be surprised if Guardiola sees him right now as a striker, based on the end of last season as well. That's pretty much probably his position. There's no Delap on this list because I do think Delap, unfortunately, is set to go out on loan. We're just waiting on that front, but maybe Delap can be there. But our squad depth in general, I mean, it's looking a little bit samey. It's only one change in there currently. Kane, of course, could be another change. That was my lens cap. Apologies. Throwing it around if you heard that. But overall, the squad is strong. I mean, most teams would kill to have a squad this strong. I do think it needs a little bit of freshening up, maybe the season after that, because I think in general, it's a lot of over-familiarity there, but we'll see. The squad depth is clearly pretty damn good overall. In terms of the concerns, I like to start with the concerns first and then go into the positives, because I don't want to be a happy clapper, you know? No one likes a happy clapper, but at the same time, I'm a positive Manchester City fan, but I can admit that there are some concerns in general, you know? There's no denying that things could be pretty hard this season if things don't go our way, you know. I'm going to start initially with the poor season preparation. I mean, we had a few preseason games, but I think it's fair to say when you've not had the likes of, you know, Foden, Sterling, Jesus, Kevin De Bruyne, who else? Bernardo's probably going to go as well, and then Zinchenko and Stones and Walker and Laporte, all these people not playing, Ederson as well, barely play, well, not play at all, basically, any preseason games. That is not going to bode you well. These players are going to need 2 or 3 weeks to get up to scratch, and that is going to be very, very, very difficult. It hasn't been a good preseason at all. The players, there's a few players there, and they've done all right in the games, but overall, the squad preparation on a broader level, it hasn't been up to scratch, and that stuff is something that Guardiola will be thinking about, rightfully so. That's definitely going to impact our season. It could be that we start pretty slowly, especially considering the next point, which is those early pre-season fixtures. I mean, you look at them, Tottenham, it isn't going to be the easiest game in the world. Norwich as well, you know, fair enough, you'd expect us to win there. You got to play Arsenal, you got to play Leicester away, you got to play Chelsea and Liverpool all by the start of October. That's not going to be easy. And then you've got United as well away. You've got Chelsea and Liverpool away back-to-back on the 25th of September and the 3rd of October. That isn't going to be easy. Tottenham, we got Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, Chelsea, Liverpool within our first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. It could be very, very difficult given the fact that, you know, we're going to have a whole bunch of players not available there. Having said that, you know, we'll get onto the positives later on. But basically, those early fixtures are undeniably hard given the lack of preparation. The next point, of course, is no new striker question mark. What if we don't sign Harry Kane? It's very possible. It's very possible. Now, I do think we'll sign him personally, but it's very possible, and it is a concern going into the season that we haven't got a striker yet. You know, Spurs, they could play really, 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 really hard to get here, really, really hard, and we might decide to back out, essentially leaving us with Ferran Torres and the false 9 and maybe Jesus again, which is a system that It was all right last year. We kind of got away with it. We kind of got away with the false line system last year. But I do worry if we can do it again. Honestly, I think it's fair to say that try and get 2 seasons in a row might be a little bit too much of an ask. There's no guarantee, Gundogan's going to turn into a goal machine. There's no guarantee we are going to put these chances away. So I think the no new striker thing is a concern until it changes. Right now, I think it's fair to say that is an issue. I mean, in defensive midfield as well, I think it's fair to say there's a little bit of indecisiveness in general in defensive midfield. Rodri, has not really nailed that position down. Fernandinho is old. It could be that we see Gundogan play there a little bit every now and then if he wants to play Gundogan, Grealish and De Bruyne. But even that is still a bit of a botch job in my personal opinion. Rodri has a big year ahead of him, and it's fair to say that defensive midfield position is not yet been solved. It can't really deny that, unfortunately. Next, will Grealish gel? He might need a few months to get up to scratch with Manchester City. That's not an unfair question. He might struggle to break down lock defences in the way that he's probably never played against before, because when he plays for Aston Villa, there's a damn sight more space than when he'll play for Manchester City. Life is going to be difficult for Grealish. You might get kicked to pieces. His injuries he's previously had, they might rise up a little bit with his shins when he gets kicked more and more and more. He could be fantastic, of course, but I think it's fair to say he also might start slowly. That is human, that's human. Sometimes they can do that, so that's a fair point. And he's our only signing so far, so we could be back to square one and plateau. Unsettled players, we know this is true. Guardiola's confirmed that a few players want to leave. That is likely Bernardo, of course, we know that, but then likely Laporte as well, and likely Jesus. Even Sterling hasn't yet signed a new contract, so they are things to consider. And this comes down to the size of the squad. When you've got a squad as big as ours, inevitably some players are going to be unsettled. I wouldn't be surprised if Laporte and Ake start moaning for a lack of game time. Maybe Cancelo starts to get a little bit frustrated sitting behind Kyle Walker. One of Sterling, Gundogan, Foden, Mahrez, Grealish are going to be sat on the bench most weeks. It's going to be very, very difficult initially. So the unsettled players can cause discontent, so we have to consider that. And also injuries as well. We go into the season without Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. Kevin De Bruyne does get quite a few injuries these days. Maybe Kane becomes injury prone a little bit more if he comes to Manchester City, What if we pick up an injury to Kevin De Bruyne again, and then we have to play with someone on the right central midfield? I mean, have we got anyone who's naturally good in that role? Maybe Foden will go over there, but then we're losing a winger. Maybe Gundogan will go there, but he's not Kevin De Bruyne. There are concerns about potential injuries really upsetting this squad. If Rodri gets an injury, we've got Fernandinho playing every single week in that position. Maybe we do a box shop and play Gundogan there, or play Zinchenko, but then we're playing Mendy often, and can we trust him? There's a lot of question marks there, and I think they're fair as well. Obviously, it's hypothetical, but we've got to consider the potential effects that an injury could have on this squad. And burnout as well. Some of these players have played an insane amount of games. Manchester City played every game possible last year apart from one. Literally played every domestic game possible and every European game possible apart from one game, which was the FA Cup final. We didn't reach that, but we reached the final of every other competition, and of course played a full Premier League campaign. And some of our players, even like the likes of Stones as well, they got to the Euro final. They played an insane amount of football, and the summer before that as well, of course, it was an absolute crazy one due to COVID. There's a very, very, very real chance that these players, and of course other players for other teams as well, could face burnout. It could be really, really difficult. We'll have to see. Do we need a bit of a refresh as well? Maybe we do. I look at that squad, and if Kane doesn't come other than Grealish, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? There's a chance that maybe at some point we need to be a little bit more ruthless and move on the squad, just so we're not becoming predictable. Because right now, I think you probably look at that City side, and you know how they're going to play. And eventually that becomes a little bit of a negative. The next point, though, the most pertinent one, is the rivals. They definitely have improved, notably Chelsea, of course. They beat us in the Champions League final. They've got a whole bunch of players that have definitely improved under the coach. Thomas Tuchel is a great coach, and of course, you've got young players that will improve exponentially given the trophy success last season of the Champions League. I mean, Reece James, Mason Mount, these young players, they are now Champions League winners. And of course, they've got young players like Kai Havertz, even Timo Werner as well. Ziyech, these will improve an awful lot. And then they've signed, well, they haven't signed right now as I'm doing it, but they're about to sign Lukaku. That's pretty much the world's worst kept secret. Lukaku, I think it's done. I don't even know it's done, but I'm considering it done. Lukaku is going to score a damn sight more goals than Timo Werner. And then they've got quality all over the pitch. They've got a really good defence, great midfield, one of the best midfielders in the world in Kante. Chilwell's great for them. They've got the experience of Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva. they've got a decent keeper now as well in Mendy. They are a very, very good side. With Hudson-Odoi, hopefully he'll kick on for them as well. I say hopefully, I don't want him to, but I mean for him on a personal level. You cannot deny that quality that they've got. And then Man United as well, we can laugh at United, but, they're a decent side these days, and they just signed Sancho and Varane. And the point for them is that the drop off in quality when they used to rest, Greenwood or Rashford, it was Dan James. Now it's Sancho or Rashford. Now it's much, much better. Of course, as well, Varane is a damn sight better than Lindelof. He's not perfect. I'm not saying he's like the best defender in the world, because we've seen Jesus give him a run around, but he's clearly a high-level player, an elite player, a Champions League winner, a World Cup winner with immense experience, and nothing is going to faze him. So that clearly improves Man United. There are still some question marks. They still have the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tax, because we don't know if he's a winner yet. But United won't be quite as useless as they can be at times. And they've got Fernandes. They've got, obviously, Sancho now. They've got quality players. Luke Shaw looked great for England. Maguire did as well. They're a good team. They are a very, very good team. Liverpool as well might not be quite as injury prone as last season. Obviously, Robertson's just picked up a serious injury, but they'll have likely Van Dijk back. Will he improve them? Will he be back to his best? We don't know that, but would anyone be surprised? In Liverpool, they made a run towards the Champions League spots last season, had a good end to the season. Imagine another whole pre-season ahead of them. Klopp could be absolutely dying to get them back into contention. So basically, our rivals have improved, and there's a worry that we may stand still. We may not, but there's a worry. Finally, the last couple of points, left back. We've still got issues there potentially. Zinchenko's a good player, but people have reasons to doubt him. And Mendy as well. Well, we don't really need to explain why people doubt Mendy. That is still a problem that I wouldn't say we've 100% fixed. I'm going to talk about Zinchenko later on in the positives and think of why we should defend him, but I think it's fair to say there are still some question marks there. And finally as well, will that press work, man, without Bernardo? If Bernardo Silva goes, will that energy be there? We could easily break down with the press with a slightly older, slightly more injured, maybe De Bruyne. Grealish will take a while to adapt to it. There's a chance that Kane doesn't have the energy for a press as well if he comes. The pressing game could disappear a little bit, so it's a fair point to bring. But let's get away from those concerns and move over to the positives. Finally, I've been waiting to say this, we're Manchester fucking City. We are Man City, and we are an absolutely brilliant team. And last season, when everyone doubted us, we won about 30 games in a row or something stupid like that. How many was it? Was it 28 to 30? I can't remember the exact number, but just call it 28. Even 28 is incredible. 28 games to win in a row. It's just insane, and this is what this side is capable of doing. We sit here and we worry and we go through all these concerns, yet season after season, Guardiola wins trophies. He wins trophies everywhere he goes, and he wins trophies with Manchester City every season because he's fantastic. This is what we do. We're Manchester City, and as much as we sit here and moan, everyone still backs us. And this is another stat as well from the Sky Bet fan hope survey, which proves that point. It's not just City fans who think we're possibly going to win the title. 64% of the Premier League fans think the same, including 56% of Man United fans and 40% of Liverpool fans. So basically, pretty much the majority of Premier League fans think City are going to win it. So we sit here and we feel sorry for ourselves, but we can't deny those stats are really, really good and in our favour. And the perception of us is very different to our perception and our internal moaning, which we're good at as City fans, of course. So Manchester City, we win stuff. Don't forget that. As big as some of our problems feel, some people would kill to have our problems, is what I'm saying. Grealish is a game changer. I did talk about how he might not gel, but in my opinion, I'm going to say Grealish is a game changer. The energy and dynamism that he'll bring to our team, the variety, his dribbling ability, his pace, he definitely improves this team a lot. I think he does. I think, honestly, he brings potentially a little bit of freshening up to the squad that we're probably crying out for. We're very much pass slow. And sometimes we need pass, a little bit of pace, and he can bring that injection. And also, he's a superstar, man. The feel-good factor that a player like him can bring to a side. A very popular man. I can't wait to see him linking up with Foden and Sterling and De Bruyne. It's going to be absolutely wonderful stuff. Third point is that we could see a different Raheem Sterling to the one from last season. He was fantastic in the Euros. If we get that Sterling improvement, which I think is very, very possible, I feel sorry for the Premier League. Sterling in that form is devastating. And once again, imagine the impact that could have on this side. Honestly, you get Grealish in, Foden in form, and then Sterling comes back in form as well. And all of a sudden, you got 25 to 30 goals from Sterling if he finds that form again. Which leads into the next point as well, because Sterling and Grealish are both pace pacey players. Sterling is lightning quick. If Sterling finds his best form and forces his way into the team, and say Foden has and Grealish has, all of a sudden that team is a lot faster than last season. It genuinely is. We could have a pacier side, a more alert side, if those players do find their form. And we could move the ball a little bit more quicker and be a little bit more direct on the counter as well, with Foden, Sterling and Grealish running forward. That is a counter-attacking side potentially. So something to consider. The fourth point for me is that Pep is still the best. He is the best. And I'm sorry, it isn't just me saying this. This is once again another stat from the Sky Bet Fan Hope Survey. 98% of City fans think Pep is the right man to take the club forward. Who are those 2%? Show yourself, you Pep outers. Which is a show of faith only bettered by Klopp and the Liverpool fans. Of course, the Liverpool fans feel that way about Klopp. But either way, we still do have the best. He's a natural born winner. And even though, of course, he may infuriate us in the big games occasionally, you got to bear in mind he's brought us an unprecedented period of success due to his man management ability. Last season, who would have thought that we would have got that far basically without playing a striker? He's a genius, and he's not perfect because no one in the world is perfect, but he's still fucking incredible, and you need to remember that. The next point is that we will likely sign a striker. I do think we will sign a striker. I do think Kane will come personally. I'm more leaning towards that, and I think the noises are very positive. And if we sign a striker and we get Kane, he's going to bang in loads of penalties. He's going to score so many crosses from the likes of Foden and Kevin De Bruyne. It's going to be astonishingly devastating, and the rivals will absolutely be feared from us. It goes from a good transfer window to an incredible one with Grealish and Kane. It's just not even fair for the rest of our rivals, and I do mean that. Also, as well, look, to be honest, and I mean this, and some people will disagree, but I don't think there'll be any Champions League fear factor anymore. We, of course, have beat, in recent seasons, PSG, we beat Dortmund, we beat Real Madrid, and we would have got, as well, our first ever trophy last season in the Champions League if it wasn't for Chelsea. But we've got to that final. There is no fear factor anymore in the quarters, in the semi-finals, in the knockout stages. We've got there. So to me, once you've done it once, you can easily do it again, and that must feel a little bit liberating to some of the squad. Of course, we still haven't won it, but we've proven that we can win it, and I'm sorry, that to me is the proof. If you can get to the final, you prove that you can win it. Given the fact that we know we've got a great side and a great coach, even if he does like to shoot himself in the foot every now and then in the Champions League, we do know that we are more than capable of winning the Champions League, and why not believe it? I don't think there should be any fear in the Champions League this season. Next is that Foden could explode, and what I mean by that, not literally he's safe, don't worry, but I mean his stardom could go on another level. He was his breakout season last year, I would say, and do not be surprised if he absolutely goes to another level yet again and scores 20 goals and gets 20 assists, and everyone's talking about him potentially being the best player in the Premier League. Foden, I think, is going to go up another level again. He could honestly be fantastic. These are the things we have to consider. We can moan about certain players, but we forget that certain players could also improve. Grealish could be incredible. Sterling could improve again. Foden could go to another level. And we've also got to consider as well the Stones and Diaz factor, man. These are settled now. Stones has just signed a new contract as I'm recording this, which is fantastic, you know. And we can't deny that defensive partnership last season was rock solid. Diaz, an absolute leader for us, and Stones together. That is a defensive partnership that is more than good enough to see Manchester City win a bunch of trophies again. And another year together, I mean, Stones playing with confidence and a settled back line, that is absolutely huge for us with the consistency. Last year we found a defence that we loved. It was Walker, Stones, Diaz, Zinchenko. Play them again, and who knows how far we'll go. And also we got great youth backups, man. Like we do. Like I'm not saying they'll play, but we've got to bear in mind that we do have one of the best academies in world football. I know some of these players are going to go out on loan. I think Tommy Doyle, I didn't mention the squad depth earlier because I think he'll go out on loan personally, and Liam Delap will as well. But still, McAtee and Palmer are fantastic young players. Adozie is a great young player. We've got some very good young defenders as well, like Finley Burns will do really, really well. And of course, we've got Luke Mbete who'll come back. And we've got like Carlos Borges, an under-18 winger who's lightning quick. We've got a very, very good bunch of young under-23s. We'll be more than good enough if we have an injury crisis that most people would love to have. And also maybe we should just start trusting Zinchenko, and this goes to myself as well. I mean, we put question marks alongside him, but he's a fantastic player. He's reliable, he's improved, and he understands how Manchester City play. Zinchenko is so crucial to the way that we move the ball around and our build-up. And even though he's not a traditional left-back, he's a Manchester City left-back, and he's a Guardiola left-back, and we've made him the left-back that we need him to be. So maybe we should trust him, and maybe we should trust Mendy. Maybe Mendy could have that comeback season that we've all dreamt of. He looks sharper and more alert than he has done in an awful long time in pre-season. He's not perfect, but he definitely looks fitter than he has done. And maybe we should should trust these guys, because why not, man? Why not? They prove us wrong time and time again. Some players do, and Zinchenko is one of them. So let's trust him. And finally, the fans are back. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to be back in the stadium, and I'm sure the players will be absolutely buzzing about it as well. That's going to give the players a lift. Of course, it's the same for everyone, but why not enjoy it? It's a reason to feel positive as Man City fans in general. We get to watch our heroes in person. We get to watch and see how much Foden has improved. We get to watch maybe a confident Sterling who definitely buzzes off the fans, in my personal opinion. We get to see that. We get to see Zinchenko celebrate in front of the fans, after he scored a goal when he gets his hype up. We get to see all that again, so enjoy it. Which moves me on to the rivals. Let's look at our rivals. I've discussed a little bit, but there's no denying that United have improved. Varane, Sancho, they came second last season. United, they were miles behind us, but United are a very, very good side. We cannot ignore their improvement. And they've got a squad now of quality players. They've got Fernandes. They've got Marcus Rashford. They've got Marcus Rashford. They've got Mason Greenwood. They've got a quality forward line. They've got Cavani as well, who's an actual goal poacher, and Sancho will have great fun trying to put crosses into him. And then, of course, as well, they've just got quality players in defence. Maguire is a very good defender. I cannot deny that any longer, alongside Varane as well. Van Bissaka will get a little bit better, I think, this season, maybe. Luke Shaw is improving every week. United aren't quite as useless as we'd like to laugh at them for. They are a very, 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 very good side, unfortunately. Liverpool, once again, can they finally put out a full squad at some point this season? Will Van Dijk be transformative for them? Will Konate be a good signing? Will Salah and Mane find their best form? As well, Neto will come back. Will he score a bunch of goals? He could be very, very key for them, given that Firmino wasn't at his best last season. Don't underestimate them. Curtis Jones will improve with another season as well. Obviously, Henderson. Henderson's a great player as well, of course. We could mock him, but he is a great player. And let's see how they get on, basically, with Trent as well. And maybe Robertson, if he gets over his injuries. He's a good player, and we can't deny Liverpool will be very useful next season. Chelsea, though, are clearly the big ones. They are undoubted rivals, in my personal opinion, with a great coach, Thomas Tuchel, and once again, a great signing, Lukaku, who will score a whole bunch of goals. I can't deny that squad. They've got depth absolutely everywhere. They really have. Great wing backs in Chilwell and Reece James. They're really, really good at the whole three at the back thing with Rudiger, Christensen, Thiago Silva, of course, as well. It's really good for them. It's really good. I won't be surprised if they sign someone else as well. And then you've got obviously Kante and Kovacevic, and then you've got great attackers in Pulisic, Kai Havertz, another season older, Mason Mount, a Champions League winner now. Timo Werner is not a bad backup striker either, let's be honest. Chelsea are a real threat. Elsewhere, let's look at the rest. Arsenal, they've always got good players. They've signed Ben White, Lokonga, Tavares, but obviously no Odegaard this season. They could gel. They could gel. We don't want them to improve because we don't want it to be a difficult game against them. That's the thing. But they could do. Leicester, of course, as well, have already beaten us. They were good. They were a solid side with great forward options. Harvey Barnes is a really tricky winger. Then they've got Patson Daka, Kelechi, and Jamie Vardy. That is an insane bunch of strikers. It's really, really, really good. And Samara is a good signing as well. Bertrand is an experienced player, of course, as well. They've got Lord Farquaad and Soyuncu in defence, of course, though unfortunately a very serious injury for Fana. But they are a quality side, and I would not be surprised if they make the jump to top 4 this season. Spurs, well, Son is a great player. Dele Alli is a decent player. They've got decent players, but will they lose Harry Kane? They are looking at Lautaro, apparently. They've signed Brian Gill as well, and Romero is going to be really good for them. But let's see how they get on, man. Let's see how they get on, because as good as they are, they also can be absolutely catastrophically bad at times. Nuno's a good manager. They've got obviously the likes of Lucas and Steven Bergwijn and Reguilon as well, and Højbjerg is a good player. Lloris is a good keeper. They could do well under a good coach. I think maybe these days Nuno is probably a better progressive coach than Mourinho, so who knows. Let's see how they get on. And elsewhere, you're looking at Leeds will be interesting, given the fact that they've got fans in the stadium, so it might feel like their first season back in the league for them. Actually, would be interesting. Villa as well, man. Who knows? They've signed some great players to replace Grealish. They've obviously got Buendia in. They've got as well Leon Bailey, Danny Ings. They are linked to Cantwell and Ward-Prowse. I don't know if they'll get those two, but if they do, that's a good side, man. That's a good side. And Everton, who knows how they'll do this season. But that is the rivals, and they are good, and they have improved. In terms of the predictions, well, top goal scorer, I put Sterling as the top goal scorer if we don't sign Harry Kane. If we sign Harry Kane, it's Harry Kane, obviously. But I put Sterling there. I think we're going to see the return of 25 to 30 goal Raheem Sterling. Again, could be Ferran Torres of surprises, but I'm going to put Sterling up there because I think he'll find his form again this season. And on to the play of the season, I've gone for Philip Walter Foden. Little Philippe, to quote Jack Grealish, I think he's going to absolutely explode this season and be incredible. I mean, it could be Diaz, it could be Grealish, it could be De Bruyne, but I think Phil Foden is going to massively impress. Maybe it could be Sterling, man, but I think Foden is going to impress. And interestingly as well, once again, another stat from the Sky Bet Fan Hope survey, Phil Foden is actually 8th in the list for PFA Player of the Year. And he's also the young player that Premier League fans would most likely to see for the club. By the way, as well, if Kane signs for Manchester City, according once again to the Sky Bet Fan Hope survey, City will have a 1, 2, 3 in the predictions for PFA Player of the Year, with Kane 16%, Kevin De Bruyne 13%, and Raheem Sterling 11.5%, making up the top 3. Sterling is interesting. I think that's obviously on the back of his Euro 2020 campaign, which is very, very, very interesting indeed. Star signing, I've gone for Jack Grealish. I think Grealish is going to really impress. The boy is a maverick, a superstar in the making, and I can't wait to see him watch up, link up with these players that we've got. Best youth player, I don't think this is going to be a season for youth integration, if I'm being honest, but I do think Cole Palmer will slowly win Guardiola's trust, and we'll see him in the Carabao Cup games, and I'm looking forward to it, man. So I've gone for Cole Palmer. Maybe McAtee though, he could be the one that surprises us, but I've gone for Cole Palmer. And most improved, I've gone for Sterling, because I have to say, because I think last season he was poor by his own standards. So I've gone for Sterling, and I've also put Ferran. I think Ferran, if we don't see Kane come in, there's a lot of caveats with this. If we don't see Kane come in, I think Ferran could play through the middle a lot and score 20 goals. Honestly, I think he could. But anyway, let's get on to the trophies. Interesting to note, by the way, once again from the Sky Bet Fan Hope survey, along with Chelsea, 100% of the Man City fans asked in this survey think that we will win a trophy of some kind this season. 100%. I love that confidence, Blues. Keep it up. So, the top 4. Once again, the stat to preface this, from the Sky Bet Fan Hope survey, City fans are predicting back-to-back league titles, with 81% of us expecting City to finish first once more. And I'm going to join them. I'm going for Man City to win the league, lads. I think we'll do it. I think we'll surprise people. And I think despite a slow start to the season, we're going to win the league. I've said it. I think we're going to do it. I think Chelsea, though, will run us very, very close. I think Chelsea will be up in second. And I think in general, to be honest, the gap between first and fourth will be a lot smaller than we're used to recently. City have run away with it a few times in the Guardiola, but I think in this instance, Chelsea will be only a few points behind us, maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. And I think Liverpool as well, a couple of points behind, but they will chase a little bit stronger, with United just behind them in 4th. I know that sounds crazy to put United in 4th, but it's not because I don't think they're doing much wrong, but I think the other teams will improve a lot. So that is my top 4. I've not predicted the top 6, but I don't care. Choose someone between Leicester, Spurs, Villa, Arsenal, whatever. It'll be one of those. Champions League, I don't think we've got the fear factor anymore. So I'm going to call us to reach the final. I can't call it, though. I can't call it. I'm going to be positive and say we're going to win it. but at the same time, I can't call it there for a reason, because I really can't. But I think we'll reach the Champions League final again. I do. I think we've got the monkey off our back, and I think we'll get there again. FA Cup, I put us down to win it. I think this is going to be a really good season. FA Cup was down to win it. I think we're due an FA Cup, and I think we'll get there and we'll win it. And I think our squad depth will really, really play us down. And this is the most controversial thing I've said in this video, and it's the last thing I'm going to say in this video. We're not winning the Carabao Cup this year. This is it. This is the year when I don't see us winning the Carabao Cup. I've got us to go out in the semi-final, and I don't know why, but I've gone for it. I'm so sorry. Do not revoke my Manchester City Burt card, but I had to do it. I had to mix it up a little bit, but I think I'll take it. Oh, I don't know. I'll be devastated if we don't win the Carabao, but that's what I've gone for. Fuck me. I've got us potentially to win 3 trophies. That would be good, wouldn't it? A treble. Who knows, man? Let us win the lot. But I think we'll win the Premier League and the FA Cup. Champions League, maybe. Why not everything, hey? Guys, Bloody hell, that was a long video. That is my season preview. Once again, thank you to the Sky Bet fan hope survey providing those stats and all that kind of stuff. You can go and obviously check it in the link in the description and see what all the fans think. It's really fascinating stuff. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know all your predictions down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this mammoth video. An absolute huge one. Thank you to Scott Denham, my Patreon producer, of course, and all the names scrolling down inside the screen. I'm going to try and do loads of videos this season. There'll be a little bit of a crossover when I'm moving house, which maybe will make it a bit difficult, but we'll see. Thank you for watching this. The season is back. Man City are back. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon.